loads of ways to follow the racing this season. Tune in live on the FAB-Racing Facebook page, on Twitter and on YouTube. Listen on motorsport.radio and on coolfabracing.com.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Red Lodge for round 2 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We are here this weekend, currently with the second set of 3 races for all of our categories this weekend. 9 races to bring you, that's right, 9 whole action-packed, adrenaline and drama-fueled races in the next few moments. So everybody get ready, get what you need. Thank you for joining us on the FAB-Racing website, on social media at M-Sport Radio and at FAB-Racing on Twitter. You can search for us, FAB-Racing and Motorsport Radio, on your preferred social media platforms. Get in touch, let us know who you're supporting this weekend. Let us know how much you're enjoying the action. We had some fantastic action yesterday, all of which you can catch up with on the Motorsport Radio website. Thank you for joining us. Alongside me this weekend, I'm Dan Marr. Alongside me, Liam Hodgins. Liam, we had a fantastic weekend so far. Great racing yesterday. Just surmise for us what happened yesterday.
Yeah, so we had 9 action-packed races yesterday. So starting off with the AC40 rookies, we had a great battle through the entire field in that. As the day went on, the track started to heat up a little bit. We had the senior mini motors giving us great action. We had the mini GP50s and mini GP70s giving us brilliant action throughout the entire day. And of course, who can forget the battle down towards the last corner for the junior LC40 elites. So we've got more of that action today, and I cannot wait.
It's going to be some fantastic action to come in the next few hours. Live radio coverage all weekend here of round 2 of the 2019 championship. Thank you for tuning in. Please do, as you did yesterday, get in touch with us on social media and keep sharing, commenting, making sure that you are sharing all your content. Let your friends, family, whomever know what you're up to, who you're supporting, what you think may well happen in the racing this morning. We will be starting, much as we did yesterday, with the AC40 rookies as the first race of the weekend. And as they head out onto the circuit, this is where it becomes a bit of a challenge. Yesterday we had dry but a bit windy conditions. The wind's gone, but the rain came in overnight in its place. So as they make their way out, they've had 1 warm-up session where it was quite wet. 9 warm-up sessions has meant that the dry line's starting to appear, although still very greasy over many parts of the circuit. It's going to make quite interesting over the course of the day, Liam.
Yes, it's going to be some fantastic racing through this one. As you mentioned a little bit earlier on, the warm-up session was a little bit damp out there, so it was quite difficult for the riders to get their laps in, and hopefully we'll be looking for a cleaner race today because there was a bit of action at the front in yesterday's opening up. And alongside us today we have Blake Ansell. Good morning.
Good morning,
Blake.
how are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, good.
Yeah. So you were just out there in your warm-up session. How were you feeling out there on track?
Well, I went out on the 140s and I felt really confident and I managed to pick up, I think it was 4th. But then I just went out in the extreme 200s and unfortunately I had a bit of a bike problem with the back tyre, but we're going to get it fixed for the next race.
So feeling confident for your next race then?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully it dries up.
Yeah, it's taking its time to dry out, but fingers crossed it does dry out before your race starts. And I bet, is it an hour's time or so?
That should be enough time for it to dry out, but it's looking really patchy today.
Yeah, it's taking its time to dry out. As we know, it's quite greasy out there when it's a little bit damp at the moment. So as the AC40 rookies line up on the grid for the start of the warm-up lap, and once again we see Archie Gibbs in pole position for today, so he's going to be leading the riders off from that position. In second spot alongside him is Blake Wilson on bike 108. In third spot on row number 2 is Ollie Sims on bike number 73. Luke Fitchett next up in fourth spot on bike number 96. In fifth position we have Brandon Keane, and in sixth spot on the grid is number 10 William Harris. In seventh spot we have Harry Payne on bike number 11 on row number 4, and as you can hear, the riders are making their way around for the start of their warm-up lap. So in 8th spot we have Jacob Stevenson on bike number 67. On bike number 31 is Marco Holt starting from grid number 9. In 10th spot, we have Luke Schofield on bike number 25. Followed up by Max Werity on bike 110, 110 in 11th spot. Archie O'Brien is in 12th spot on bike number 91. In 13th place, we have Joshua Williams on bike number 78. Next to him is Wilson Dilks on bike number 85, starting from 14th position on the grid. Casey Spady on bike number 20, 15th place on the grid, so he'll be looking to come through the field during this AC40 Rookies race number 2. Callum Maxwell in 16th place alongside him on bike number 4, followed by Arnie Carr starting in 17th on the grid on bike number 83. Noah Guillory on bike number 41 in 18th place, and Chloe Sewell in 19th place on bike 101. And as the riders come back towards the grid, rounding out the runners and riders for this AC40 Rookies race number 2 here at Red Lodge. And in Suffolk, under grey skies at the moment, it's going to be bike number 09, Bailey Lawrence in 20th position. Just remember, you can tune in online on Facebook, on social medias, Twitter as well, at FAB-Racing, at M Sport Radio for the start of today's racing action.
Thank you very much for joining us. Live coverage of round 2 of the 2019 Championship. Very quick question for you though, and as we get ready for the race start, Marshall's making sure everyone is underway. And as now Marshall's moving towards the sides of the grid, they look towards the red lights. The first race of Sunday gets underway now. A good start from the front row. Third place though, that was a great start by Ollie Sims as well, trying to make some positions into turn 1 for the first time. Couldn't quite make it through. The conditions very greasy out there. Many of the riders taking very different lines just to try and tiptoe around. A few riders struggling around the chicane, turns 2 and 3 for the first time out of 8. Clean start though by all so far, but the race leader has really darted off. Second place being contended. Ollie Sims fighting with Blake Wilson at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. Archie Gibbs is your early race leader, looking very confident in the damp conditions in warm-up this morning, and he's putting that quick pace to good effect at the moment. Now, Blake, you noticed something quite interesting on the grid at the start.
Yeah. Well, we had Blake Wilson putting on his handlebar grip just for the last minute, and his dad looking very stressed.
Yeah, he did look a little bit stressed. Maybe it's something for a bit more fuel in the wet conditions.
Yeah, definitely.
So as the riders complete lap number 1, it's Archie Gibbs with a huge advantage over the rest of the field. 2.8 seconds to be exact over Blake Wilson with his new handlebar grip. Ollie Sims, a fantastic start from third in the grid, remains in third, all over the back of Blake Wilson. Luke Fitchett in 4th spot on bike number 96. Brandon Keane follows up on bike 333 in 5th spot. William Harris is next along in 6th position. Max Werity in 7th, followed by Harry Payne in 8th spot. Jacob Stevenson in 9th place. Marco Holt rounding out the top 10 at the moment. And Casey Spady from lower down on the grid has had a fantastic start from 15th place. He is now up to 11th spot, Dan.
Great progress so far, and that really shows just how tricky these conditions can be. If you're able to master the wet lines, find the patches of grip, it could be to your success. Ollie Sims trying much the same for second place at the moment. Blake Wilson in second place, holding off Ollie Sims over the line, finishing lap 2 and on to lap 3. The gap now, the leaders, 4 seconds. Archie Gibbs to Blake Wilson, so already a commanding race lead. Ollie Sims fighting tooth and nail into turns 2 and 3, takes a very square wider line, really throws the bike in and uses all of the mass of the rider to get the bike turned in, using the grip to the advantage. Blake Wilson using the standard racing line in these conditions, might not be the fastest, but great for defending, knowing where you can get the heat and the grip into the tyres. Battle then for second and third. Blake Wilson and Ollie Sims over the line there with 0.3 of a second. They are pretty much nose to tail for the pair of riders. Also, Luke Fitchett now coming under attack from Brandon Keane, the number 96, under attack from 333. Side by side for second place, though, into the final corner. Ollie Sims couldn't make it work. Luke Fitchett, though, is now again being attacked by Brandon Keane. Not quite a change that's been made at the moment over the line. 96 and 333 has in fact changed, so Brandon Keane into 4th place. Ollie Sims though behind Blake Wilson.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Archie Gibbs out the front. He's just finding confidence in parts of the track that no one else can do. He's using all the racetrack he can, running on the white lines, which can sometimes be a little bit dodgy in these wet conditions, Blake.
Yeah, definitely, but he's definitely giving himself a good advantage, going ahead. He's not letting the patchiness put off his confidence and he's just gone for it and he's pulled himself a big gap.
Yeah, he seems to be finding more of the dry lines that some others can't find. So finding all the grip and all the confidence. As we look back towards the battle for second, Ollie Sims is squaring up a go for Blake Wilson, coming down towards the bottom end of the circuit, getting great traction out of the SE section, down towards the final hairpin section. He's still behind him in third spot, so Ollie Sims still hanging on to the coattails of Blake Wilson as they come across the line. It's going to be Brandon Keane still ahead of Luke Fitchett. Luke Fitchett has just moved up to fourth spot once again ahead of Brandon Keane, so missed that out there on the circuit, but that's a great wee battle going on for fourth spot.
And one that's being reeled in now by William Harris in sixth place, caught up on the last lap by a couple of tenths. But Archie Gibbs leads this race at the halfway mark, 6.3 seconds ahead of Blake Wilson and Ollie Sims. Fitchett and Keane, 4th and 5th. William Harris is ahead of Max Werity in 6th and 7th, with Harry Payne, Casey Sperry up to 9th place now, and Marco Holt rounding out the top 10. Then it's Archie O'Brien, followed by Luke Schofield, Wilson Dilks, Joshua Williams and Jacob Stevenson, the 15th. 16th at the moment is Noah Gullery. But into the final corner again, second and third being contested. Blake Wilson just for now got the measure of Ollie Sims. Luke Fitchett again ahead of Brandon Keane. In fact, there's been a bit of a gap in that battle. Brandon Keane ahead by 2 seconds now on William Harris. Luke Fitchett dropping down a little bit. Has he had a problem at the far end of the circuit?
Yeah, not too sure about that. Fingers crossed there's not been any moment for any of the riders out there. But it looks like Archie Gibbs is just extending the lead. He's now up to 7.5 seconds. Exactly a second a lap quicker than anyone else on track. He's the only one in the 53s at the moment. The rest are in the 54s or the 55s. But as we can see, a great battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Lots of chopping and changing back there. Brandon Keane took the 4th spot ahead of Luke Fitchett a couple of laps ago. William Harris, as you said, Dan, has moved up to 5th spot. Max Werity is in 7th. Harry Payne in 8th spot. But Casey Sperry from 15th on the grid is now well inside the top 10 in 9th position. Marco Holt in 10th, rounding out the top 10 for the moment.
And Casey Sperry also lapping almost a second quicker than those around him. Harry Payne in 8th place. For context, did a 59.7 on the last lap. Casey Sperry did a 58.8 and was only 7/10 behind on that last lap, so the overtake could be made. A great charge for the number 20 rider, really taking advantage of the wet conditions. Some riders really just relish in the challenge that a greasy circuit can provide, and these young riders gaining all the experience they'll need in their future careers on the road to MotoGP. It's inevitable you're going to get wet races. Why not learn it from a young age? Archie Gibbs is learning that from a young age. Is 8 seconds ahead of Blake Wilson with 2 laps to go. But we've got a faller at turn number 1.
Yeah,
they're back onto the bike and they look all right, so they're getting back into the race. Couldn't see who that was, but what happened there?
Yeah, it was just a little bit fast into the turn 2 corner there. Just slipped off the edge of the bike, but back on the bike and back in the race, which is good to see.
Blake Wilson and Ollie are coming up to back markers, so this might be the time where Ollie makes a move.
Yeah, it's the final lap as well, so we could see some action on the final lap from Ollie Sims and Blake Wilson. But out front in charge of the race at the moment is Archie Gibbs, getting in amongst the back markers at the moment, but he is definitely looking fantastic with a 9.5 second gap. So that is something that, as long as he can keep it together, he should be able to hold that lead within the next couple of corners. So Blake Wilson, Ollie Sims seem to be battling out consistently over this final lap as they head down towards the bottom of the circuit there. And as we see, we've got our race leader Archie Gibbs coming through the final couple of corners into the final turn at the moment, coming across the line. He's looking really happy. It's going to be Archie Gibbs to pick up the first race win of the day in the AC40 Rookies, looking back to the battle for second there. And if we've got Blake Wilson in second, is it going to be Archie Gibbs? Ollie Sims, apologies, over the line they come now, and it's going to be Ollie Sims who takes second position on Blake Wilson. Just missed that, unfortunately, on the final lap there, but Ollie Sims chased Blake Wilson all race long, managed to get him just on the last couple of corners. For 4th spot is Brandon Keane. William Harris in 5th position. Luke Fitchett comes across the line, narrowly missing out in a top 5 position there. What a fantastic race in action as we wait for the next couple of riders to come along. We've got Max Werity and Casey Sperry coming up next. Are we going to see another fantastic ride from Casey Sperry, or is Max Werity going to hold 7th spot to come across the line now? Who's it going to be? It's going to be Max Werity ahead of Casey Sperry, coming up from 15th on the grid to take 8th spot ahead of Archie O'Brien, Joshua Williams in 10th spot, and Marco Holt, who lost a couple of positions on the final lap, dropped down from 9th to 11th. Luke Schofield ahead of Wilson Dilkson in 13th, Harry Payne 14th, and Noah Goulier in 15th position ahead of Arnie Carr, who just misses out on the points.
Well, great run up there from the end of that race, but Archie Gibbs, the winner, 10.5 seconds was the gap at the end of that race. Just so much quicker than all the other riders out there. 53.5 was the best lap from Archie Gibbs. Ollie Sims did a 54.7, so you can see just a pace difference indeed. And that was just the first race of this morning's fantastic action. Thank you for joining us. This is live coverage of round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Dan Marr, Liam Hodgins in the commentary box alongside us. We have got Blake Ansell. Blake, conditions really are very tricky out there. These young riders managed to get around it pretty easily, but how is that going to be more difficult with some of the more powerful bikes coming out in the next few races?
Well, most definitely. Obviously, you've got more corner speed going in and out of the corners, which obviously can lead to more accidents, but the weight kind of balances it out, so it's pretty equal.
Well, warm-up was certainly in different conditions compared to what it was now. How is that going to affect the riders' mindsets coming into this one, knowing that the grip is going to be different from even this morning, a few hours ago?
Well, this morning was different conditions than now, so they're not going to be used to it, but obviously the line's drying up, so they got plenty more grip than they did this morning, which hopefully boosts their confidence.
Well, adaptability is certainly going to be a key thing here at Red Lodge, round 2 of the 2019 Championship. Thank you for joining us on the Cool Fab Racing website, on motorsport.radio and on social media at Cool Fab Racing, at M Sport Radio on Twitter. Just look for Motorsport Radio and Cool Fab Racing on your preferred social media channels. Plenty of ways to keep up to date with the action, plenty of ways to get in touch. Please let us know what you thought of the first action from this morning's running, who you're supporting over the course of the day, who is going to be doing well. Your predictions, let us know who you're supporting. But we are the official partner series for the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. We are on the road to MotoGP. The riders building a great portfolio of experience even before they get unleashed onto the full circuits around the country and around the world. This is really the hotbed of talent. Speaking of hotbeds of talent, we've got very own BSB's Brad Ray here this weekend, racing in a couple of our categories. We'll keep you up to date with what he'll be up to, as well as the rest of the riders, including coming out now, which is the Mini GP 70s, their second race of the weekend. They just head to the dummy grid before the warm-up lap, just to keep you up to date as to what's happening with the rest of the timetable for this morning's action. We've got the Mini GP70s out on circuit currently. We will then have the AC40 Pros, followed by the Pit Bike 140 and Moto teams. The Junior LC40 Elites will be ahead of the Senior Mini Motos, followed up swiftly by the Mini GP50s, the Extreme 200s, and then the Mini F1 sidecars. That's what is still to come here round 2 at Red Lodge, but we'll head to our next race, the Mini GP70s. They slowly build up their way to the start of the grid. Liam Hodgins will have the grid for you in just a few moments' time indeed.
Yeah, so we've got Evan Belford leading them off from pole position on the warm-up lap. These bikes sounding absolutely brilliant as they head around the circuit. We've got James Cook in second position at the moment, who took yesterday's race win, a dominant race win by James Cook. Can he repeat that today? Eddie O'Shea, who's been sort of struggling this weekend, our early championship leader who won the first 3 races of the season in Clandow 4 weeks ago on bike 114, starts from third spot ahead of number 43, Ryan Hitchcock in fifth position. We have bike number 48, that is Ollie Walker, followed by Dylan Mellor on bike number 31 on sixth spot there. Bailey Stewart Campbell on bike number 99 is in seventh place. Emmanuel Brinton had a fantastic ride in the early stage of yesterday's race on bike number 93, followed by Owen Mellor in ninth spot. Kyle Payne rounds out the top 10 on bike number 25. Alfie Davidson in 8th place, in 11th place there, on bike number 8. Mason Johnson on bike 808 from 12th spot. Harrison Crosby in 13th place, followed by Johnny Garness on bike 57 and 14th. Sullivan Mounsey on bike 144 in 15th place. Thomas Gomez on bike number 98 in 16th place. Saffron Watley in 17th, followed by Carter Brown in 18th spot. Joe Farragher in 19th, Jack Kirsch in 20th, Rossi Brown in 21st, and rounding out the runners and riders is Jamie Woodcock on bike number 42 in 22nd.
Well, we get ready for the race starts. Harrison Crosby standing up on the bike, waving for one of the marshals to come through. The support guys are having a look at the front wheel. It looks like it might be loose, just giving it a bit of a tighten with the Allen key. They are already, though, looking towards the red lights. The revs rise. We are underway with this second race of the weekend for the Mini GP70s, heading towards turns 1 and 2 for the first time. A decent start from the front row. Around the outside, though, from the second row of the grid, Ryan Hitchcock got another belter of a start. James Cook, in the mix of things. Third place for them at the moment, but heading away. Evan Belford made a great start, provisionally leads this. However, a little further back, many of the riders struggling to get through the tight hairpin at turn 5 into turn 6. It's a very tricky transition, especially in the wet. There's one rider that's slowing on the back straight. I can't see who that is at the moment. We'll give you more information when we can, but surely they may be out of this race. Not good to see, but Evan Belford leads the race. Only just Ryan Hitchcock rising on the coattails, heading into turns 1 for the first time.
Yeah, Evan Belford, fantastic start. Ryan Hitchcock up to second position. James Cook, unfortunately, could not make the start that he made yesterday, so he's in third position at the moment, ahead of a red bike, that is Dylan Mellor. Eddie O'Shea, our early championship leader, has dropped from third down to fifth spot, but just make sure that he will not be sitting there for the entire race. Bailey Stewart Campbell on bike number 99 in 9th position, ahead of Emmanuel Brinton. Ollie Walker in 8th position has dropped from 5th down to 8th, as we've got a crasher down at the infield section of the track. Yellow flags are out, and they're trying to get the bike back up, pushing the bike, and we'll keep an eye on who that could be in the next few moments. But as the leaders head down towards the final corner on the track, it's still Evan Belford ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. James Cook all over the back. This is about an 8-rider battle for the lead at the moment, Blake.
Yeah, James is looking really, really strong for that intersection, but you've got Ryan Hitchcock slowly chasing Evan Belford down. I'm just wondering whether Evan will be able to keep up from behind.
Yeah, we've got Ryan Hitchcock all over the back, climbing all over the back of the field at the moment, as the marshals tell the riders to go round a part of the section of track. I don't know if there's something on the track at the moment, but we'll have to keep an eye on that, as we've got someone down at the hairpin section of the track, Dan.
Well, someone's gone down at the moment, can't see who, but the marshals at turn number 5 indicating the riders to stay left. That is because there seems to be a bit of fluid down. Don't know whether that could be a release from the brake fluid perhaps, but Evan Belford leads ahead of Ryan Hitchcock and James Cook. A bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment, but the number 52 rider has always been a fantastic defensive rider into turns 2 and 3. Again, the first chicane, left and then right. It's so tight between Belford and Hitchcock. He almost trips over the back of the rider.
Yeah, I believe the rider that went down at the end of the last lap there might have been one of the riders in the top group there.
And red flags are out. Red flags are out, so the race has been suspended with 3 laps complete. Bring you more information on that when we can, but we do know and can tell you that Evan Belford was leading that race, the number 52 ahead of Ryan Hitchcock and James Cook. Provisionally, Eddie O'Shea in 4th ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell, Emmanuel Brinton and Alfie Davidson 6th and 7th in that one so far. But the riders head back to the assembly area for a few moments, and we'll be bringing you more information on that as soon as we can. But
yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye on what happened out there, but the rider that did go down is up and walking, maybe with a bit of a limp, but thankfully they're up and seemingly okay at the moment. So there was one of the riders from the top group that was dropping down, so we'll keep an eye on who that was.
Well, there's 9 laps to go, so they're most likely to restart the race, and hopefully that will give the riders behind Eddie O'Shea and all of that to move up, maybe have a podium.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. It gives the marshals also a chance to check the track because there seemed to be fluid down in the infield section round by turn number 5. So they're putting some sawdust down, so we can actually, well, not sawdust, but it'll be the cement dust. Sawdust is something old they used to use, wasn't it, back in the old football pitches? But the cement dust is going down. Hopefully that'll clear up any fluid that there was down in the circuit there.
Well, couldn't quite tell what the fluid was. From the way that the rider dropped it, it could have been that they knocked the brake handle and maybe a brake line came out. Did seem to get back into the paddock all right. Speaking of going back into the paddock, Harrison Crosby jumping up and down on the bike at the start because he felt the front wheel was loose, slowed on the back straight and came back into the paddock to get that fixed. That could potentially be quite a benefit for Harrison because they've now got time to go through and tighten the wheel or inspect what the problem with that wheel is, get back out and potentially go out there with a good result. But Evan Belford, great defence, well, the start really of a great defensive ride, has really made his name doing that over the last few years here at Coolfab. But really on these mini GP 70s, it can be a bit tricky at times to overtake, especially at this really tight Red Lodge circuit. You've got to pick and choose your moment, and Ryan Hitchcock was... You had the feeling perhaps that he was a bit impatient with trying to make the move and almost tiptoed and almost tripped over the back of Evan Belford a couple of times. That's, Blake, I can imagine, you know, trying to go for a move like that, you're feeling frustrated, you want to get past, but you just don't have that extra edge you need to get past straight away. How does that play into a rider's mentality in terms of trying to do it?
Well, like you saw in the last race, it took him all the way to the last lap to get the move to second place, but obviously when riders are getting checked out, it gives the tyres a chance to get cold, you know, what can lead to maybe another accident, which obviously you don't want to happen.
No, well, accidents certainly is not something we do want to happen in the racing. Currently under a red flag. We'll bring you more information as to when we can. This live coverage of round 2 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Thank you very much for joining us on social media at FAB-Racing, at M Sport Radio on Twitter, as well as on Facebook and such like. Join us, FAB-Racing or Motorsport Radio. We've just been informed that it's going to be a full race restart. See what I mentioned a few moments ago about Harrison Crosby. Perfect timing. Full race restart, but with 10 laps. So this is going to be a 10-lap sprint. A couple of laps knocked off. But this gives a bit of impetus to the likes of Ryan Hitchcock and especially James Cook. He didn't make the greatest of starts on that first try. So really now they're going to have to go and have a quiet word with themselves and really feel the clutch and get it to bite.
Well, yeah, this could be a game changer. It can literally change the grid totally. Now everyone's had their chance to think of like maybe what mistakes they made, how to improve what they did last time.
Well, the challenge is going to certainly be one we're going to enjoy in the next few moments. And we look forward not only to this race, but the rest of our races this afternoon and in fact this morning. Coming up after the Mini GP 70s when the races restarted, we're having the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team race will be the next session out on circuit. Then it will be the Junior LC40 Elite. The Senior Mini Motos will follow on the circuit ahead of the Mini GP50s, the Extreme 200s, and then the Mini F1 sidecars. But thank you very much for joining us. This is live coverage of round 2 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Live and exclusive radio coverage of the championship this season. Plenty of extra coverage to come throughout the course of the season. Look forward to some very exciting announcements about the coverage in the next few days. So thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to the restart then. Race 2 of the Mini GP 70s will be underway in just a few moments' time.
This is FAB-Racing on the road to MotoGP.
Round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We are live at the Red Lodge circuit in Suffolk/Cambridgeshire. Depends where you describe it. It's actually technically both. Bit convoluted really, but we're enjoying the action so far. No matter where you are, thank you for joining us online on the live radio stream, on the Cool Fab Racing website, on motorsport.radio, and of course on social media at Cool Fab Racing, at M Sport Radio on Twitter. Look for Cool Fab Racing and Motorsport Radio on whichever social media platforms you use. You will find us and you can join us. Thank you very much for tuning in. If this is the first time you've tuned in, hope you enjoy the action. Please keep liking and commenting and sharing to the whole world. Let us know how much you're enjoying the action so far and who, in fact, you're supporting over the course of this weekend. Liam Hodgins and Dan Marr in the commentary box. Alongside us, it is Blake Ansell, rider in just a couple of our classes. In fact, just let us know, first of all, for our listeners, you know, what classes are you riding in this weekend?
This weekend I'm riding in pit bike 140s and extreme 200s.
Okay, so we will be seeing Blake out on circuit in a short while, and we will be listening to him as well. Looking forward to the rest of the action. The bikes head back onto the circuit, and they are getting ready for a restart then of the mini GP70s after a very brief red flag. This will be a 10-lap race, so shorter, going to be a bit more action-packed, and I can see a few riders. Emmanuel Brinton, one to mind, has got wet tyres on, Liam.
Yeah, it's going to be a gamble for some of them. Some of them might go for slicks, some of them might go for the wet, but if the track starts to dry out, we can definitely see the slick tyres coming into their own. Now, we believe they've got 2 warm-up laps. Blake, that's something you said to us off-air that they might do, and then they called it, so very well done to you there.
Yeah, it was a good gamble, but it's needed. Obviously, the tyres are going to be cold because that young lad that was getting checked out, and they need the warmth in their tyres. You don't want to take any risks.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite difficult to get here into the tyres of these bikes here. So a couple of warm-up laps for the riders as we run through the grid once again. So starting in pole position will be bike number 52 of Evan Belford. In second spot, yesterday's race 1 race winner was James Cook on bike number 44. In third spot is our early championship leader. That is Eddie O'Shea on bike 114, the winner of the previous round at Clandau, winning all 3 races back there. And fourth spot is Ryan Hitchcock, who got off a fantastic start in the first part of the race. Ollie Walker in 5th position on bike number 48. Dylan Mellor on bike number 31 should be starting from 6th position. In 7th spot we've got Bailey Stewart Campbell on bike number 99. Emmanuel Brinton starting from 8th position on the grid. Owen Mellor on bike 130 in 9th spot. In 10th position we have Kyle Payne. 11th spot is Alfie Davidson on bike number 808. In 12th spot is Mason Johnson. Addison Crosby on bike number 69 is in 13th spot there. Johnny Garnes in 14th, followed by Sylvan Moundy in 15th. Thomas Gomez on bike number 98 in 16th. Saffron Watley in 17th. Carter Brown in 18th. Joe Farragut in 19th position, followed by Jack Kirsch as we start the race.
Race is underway, creeping from James Cook off the line. A bit of a wheelie from Evan Belford. They only got 1 warm-up lap in the end. This could prove challenging for tyre temperatures. Belford leads. Ryan Hitchcock makes his way just into second place through turns 2 and 3. But James Cook does manage, in fact, to take the position back. So Belford is ahead of James Cook. Hitchcock is 3rd. Hitchcock is 4th. Eddie O'Shea makes a decent start into 3rd place. Bailey Stewart Campbell under attack from a couple of riders just further back as well. It's a battle for 4th and 5th and 3rd as well. Heading into turn 6, 7, the long left-hander followed by the tightening left and then right-handed hairpins, a very tight and twisty part of the circuit, especially with very little tyre temperature. Evan Belford, though, has got about 3 or 4 bike lengths heading over the line for the first time out of 10. A shortened race, this second mini GP70 race, side by side between Eddie O'Shea and Ryan Hitchcock over the line. Eddie O'Shea was ahead onto the line, but Ryan Hitchcock just has to dive out and making a move into turn number 2, almost resulted in contact. Luckily it didn't. Emmanuel Brinton is in 5th at the moment, just ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell. Ollie Walker has lost a few places, but Harrison Crosby improving ahead of Owen Muller. Mason Johnson rounds out the top 10 so far, but battle for third place, the one we're enjoying so far at the moment. Eddie O'Shea, uncharacteristically quiet in the first race of the day.
Yeah, just looking further down the field, a fantastic start from Harrison Crosby from 13th on the grid all the way up to 8th. Also for Johnny Garness, who started in 15th spot, is on bike number 57, and Johnny Garness is in 12th place there. So we've got bike number 52, Evan Belford in first position. James Cook is trying to chase him down. A bit of a gap is starting at the front of the field between Evan Belford and James Cook, who have gapped the battle for third position. So we have got Dylan Mellor in the race, who was supposed to start from sixth position on the grid, but he started from the back, so he's at the bottom of the timing screens at the moment, but he is back out on the circuit, which is absolutely fantastic news, Dan.
Fantastic news to have them back out. Evan Belford is 1.1 seconds ahead of James Cook now, so a big difference compared to the result in the first part of this race when it was a bit like a cork in a bottle. Eddie O'Shea, though, really is the cork in the bottle at the moment, under attack from Ryan Hitchcock into the final corners, right, left, flicking the bikes through, getting a great exit coming out to the final corner, side by side into turn number 1, makes the move into 4th place. Into 3rd place now is Ryan Hitchcock. Can Emmanuel Brinton attack on the return? He's not got just an attack to do, he's got to defend from Bailey Stewart Campbell. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, all in one long line of bikes onto the back straight. Once again, the wind has dropped compared to what it was yesterday. The slipstream will be less critical.
We've got to keep an eye out for Bailey Stewart Campbell climbing all over the back of Emmanuel Brinton coming into turn number 2. Looked up the inside of Emmanuel Brinton, nearly clipping the back wheel of the rider in front, but luckily all riders nice safely through. So we're coming down towards the bottom of the lap into the final turn. Will we see any passes into turn number 1? A great exit from Bailey Stewart Campbell on to the final turn, lining up a move ahead of Emmanuel Brinton. Will he go for another move into turn number 2? No, he doesn't, not at the moment. Just holding station at this moment in time in the race, Blake.
Yeah, the clouds are definitely coming over now, and a little bit of rain. Obviously the bike's going faster, it's going to look a lot worse in the visor, so hopefully it doesn't knock any of their confidence.
Yeah, it looks like hopefully we'll stay off for the moment.
But if it doesn't stay off for the moment, Emmanuel Brinton really sitting on the best bike on the grid then, because he's on the wet tyres at the moment, trying to make another move into turn number 6. Can't make it work though, but is all over the back of Eddie O'Shea. The rain is coming down, it's pretty heavy as well, and all of a sudden our front runners are treading around, and light down has gone 2 riders at the final corner. Bailey Stewart Campbell has gone down. I think it's Emmanuel Brinton who's gone down as well. They're both up and trying to get back onto the bikes. Marshals go over to help them, but yellow flags at the final corner. The rain is coming down in absolute lashes now. They're tiptoeing around. Evan Belford is in the lead of this race, but slowing, I believe.
We've got another rider down at turn number 1, unfortunately just slipping off, and at turn number 2, that looks like it could be bike 808, Mason Johnson.
It is Mason Johnson.
All riders are up and trying to get the bikes restarted. As you said, Dan,
red flags are out. Red flags are out.
Right.
The number 8 has dropped it on the exit of turn number 5 as well. That's Alfie Davidson.
They've got to stop this race.
The race has been stopped. Red flag is out, and all of a sudden, what was it you said us about a minute ago, Blake? The rain's starting to come down now. We didn't expect it to come down anywhere near this heavily, and it has come down in absolute stare-ons. And the irony being, I'm afraid to say I've done the curse of the commentator, because what did I say? It could have been the case that Emmanuel Brinton was in the hot seat, but he lost it at the final 2 corners. But himself and Bailey Stewart Campbell just slid together. That would have been quite a nice synchronised swim, but not the kind of thing you want to be doing in bike racing. But they just lost front grip at the same time, Blake. That is quite rare, although I suppose it shows and explains how tricky the conditions are.
No, it was a very, very good call cancelling the race, obviously, because you saw how many riders went down at once then, all the corners. Obviously, them having slicks on is no grip at all in the wet. Even, consistency doing laps probably wouldn't get you very far in this kind of conditions.
Yeah, we're going to have to try and see if they will restart this race. If not, they might move on to the next one. But I think it's a good thing that they've stopped the race, because, as we said, there will be a lot of riders going down if the rain continues to come down without the riders without the riders stopping the race. So there will be 15 minutes before a restart of this race we've just heard. So the Mini GP70 will restart again, which will be good. Gives the riders a chance to get a wet setup on and some wet weather tyres before the start of the part 3 of this Mini GP70 race.
Well, red flag then for the wet weather conditions here at Red Lodge, round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championships. The rain is coming down. 15 minutes until a restart for this race, the second restart for the second red flag for the Mini GP70s. Well, the rain really starting to come down now, very heavy indeed. Wind has picked up as well. The circuit is going to be absolutely treacherous. In the space of about a minute, we had 5 or 6 riders just lose out with grip. The temperature just vanished. Even those on wet tyres were struggling. It's going to be very difficult to get the heat into the tyres you need, Blake. It's going to be difficult to get really into the rhythm, but this could help many riders, the likes of Evan Belford, who had another great start. This start, the second start, was actually better for him than the first start, where he was getting a bit mixed up with a few riders, including Ryan Hitchcock. This one just sprinted off to the distance. But not only has he had to do it once more than he was meant to do it, he's going to have to do it again.
Yeah, well, obviously it can be quite devastating for certain riders. Obviously, you had James Cook, who had an amazing start, was in second, and then they both pulled away. Obviously, this weather, the restart of the race could, give everyone a different chance and could change the game again.
Well, could well change the game. Not sure if you're able to listen in. When you're listening into the stream to our ambient mics, you'll be able to hear just how heavy the rain is clattering over the metal building we're currently stood in, and that's going to get much, much more difficult for...
Yeah, the weather is absolutely lashing down at the moment. It sounds like it's just going off a little bit, but the track is well and truly soaked, which is probably a good thing. You don't want, Blake, one of these circuits where it could be half dry and half wet. It's either better to have it fully wet or fully dry.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously when it's patchy, that's when you get all the grease and the conditions become very hard for the riders, whereas if it's wet, you end up getting more grip because you got the right tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. So this gives the riders a chance with the 15-minute delay to set up the bike for the wet. Can it be either... do you think they'll have time to actually give a full wet setup to the bikes, or will it just be the case of keep the dry setup and put wet tyres on, or will it be a bit of both, a bit of a compromise?
Most definitely. They should have plenty enough time, to be honest, obviously, but the heat in the tyres aren't going to be there unless they already have them prepared, which some riders do have, sets of tyres already ready to prepare with the tyre warmers on.
So what do you have to do to change the bike from a dry setup to a wet setup?
Well, it's mainly the tyres. With the mini motos, there's a lot of, bits and bobs you can do to prevent it from, bogging down. But really, it's just the tyres when it comes to the metro kits.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we'll see a lot more action from the Mini GP70s when we get part 3 of this Mini GP70 race restarted again. But it's a good thing that the track is fully wet now, because we will have a clear race where it will be either wet and it won't hopefully dry up in time for the end of that race.
Well, there's a lot of rain on circuit at the moment, although the rain, as we've said, has now actually started to ease up. It's not coming down as heavily as it was, so perhaps it was only a micro shower, but enough that it could affect even just this morning's races. As we mentioned, 3 parts of the second race for the weekend of the Mini GP70s. We're currently under a red flag for the change of the tyres for all of the riders to get ready and raring to go once again. Thank you for joining us. This is live coverage of round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Well, it's tricky out there for all of the riders. Blake, obviously you're going to be riding out in this in a few moments' time. What are your favourite conditions? Do you like it to be bone dry and very, very warm, or do you like the wet, or what sort of weather do you prefer?
In all honesty, when I was on the Mini GP70, I really did like the wet, because I felt like, I had that confidence. And with all the tracks I used to do on the Mini Motos, like M4 Karting and Swindon, I felt really confident in the slippy conditions. So when I come out in the wet, I was confident and I was, doing good lap times.
And with the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team category you'll be racing in a short while, with the amount of riders in that race, it's going to be very, very busy in terms of just negotiating around other riders and trying to battle with other people. Do you think that's going to give you an advantage perhaps some others won't enjoy?
Yeah, I was just going to be smart, take my time, don't do anything too stupid, which will end up like me falling off the bike. I just need to stay confident.
Touch wood, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard this here first.
Yeah, but no, I do like the rain.
Well, that's great to hear. and we're certainly going to be enjoying talking about you in the rain in just a short while's time. Thank you for tuning in on the Cool Fab Racing website, on motorsport.radio and on social media. Thank you for all of your comments so far. We will try and read out a few of those in a few moments. Hashtag CoolFab is the hashtag you want to use. If you want to get in touch with us, we'll try and read out some of your comments in the next few minutes. At CoolFab Racing, at M Sport Radio, that's on Twitter. You can search for CoolFab Racing and Motorsport Radio on your preferred social media platforms, where you can get in touch with us, let us know how you're enjoying the action so far. Now, there's a bit of blue skies out there. It really has changed in the space of about 5-10 minutes. And even when the sun comes out, it's going to become more difficult, because unlike the rain where it was last night, it was quite light. It sort of sprayed the circuit, but not enough to keep it flooded, whereas now there's puddles forming, there's dips and crests where there's going to be really tricky parts, especially just outside of our water, or just outside of turn number 5 at the moment, where there's a big pool of water. I've had Kate get in touch saying, so stressful listening to the live coverage from home. Well, I think it's so stressful, unfortunately, for some of the riders out there, but hopefully they can enjoy the conditions in just a few moments' time. Hopefully you're enjoying the weather from home. Nice cup of tea. Put your feet up and a nice cup of tea listening in. And Lisa Tilly saying, we will come and visit you soon. It's been too long. Well, it would be great to have you come to the circuit. All rounds of the Cool Fab Racing Championships are free to attend, so if you happen to live locally and you fancy coming and seeing the racing for yourself in person, we will have, we'd love to have you here with us, and it'd be great to have you trackside, really enjoying the weather. Hopefully for you, though, it'd be a bit warmer and a bit drier than it is at the moment. Amy Nichols saying, come on, Harry Payne. Harry has had some great racing over the course of the weekend so far, some more still to come. And Carla Walker saying, good luck, Ollie Walker. So good luck to Ollie out there. Was really enjoying some of these difficult wet conditions over the last few minutes. Robert Butler saying, go Josh. Nice and simple, that.
Keep it simple, it's always good, isn't it? So a bit of a boost there for the riders, which is always great to hear, because we've got lots of people listening in, and it gives the riders great support when you know that you've got at least someone behind you as well. So as we talk about that, we can see that the sun is actually trying its hardest to try and break through the clouds, but with the grey skies about today, I don't think it's going to stay out for very long. So it's going to be one of those days, isn't it, where it's going to dry up a little bit and then start raining again, so we never know how it's going to go throughout the day.
Well, with this gentle breeze, obviously, it's just blowing all the weather over, and it's just constantly changing. Obviously, it makes it hard for the riders, because you don't know what tyres to go for. You can change a set of tyres, and then you're going to need it changed again, because the weather's just changed.
Yeah, so how difficult is it to try and predict what the weather's going to do?
Well, it's one of those things where you just got to take the risk, really. Or, you have both sets of tyres ready just to pop on to see, because obviously it changed halfway through the race, so you never know what's going to happen.
Do you feel like you've always been quite good at predicting what the weather's going to do, or is it something that is not quite being your strong point yet?
It's not very strong point yet, but hopefully I'll get good at it.
Yeah, so we can see you charging through the field at some point. So it's something that will be obviously very good for you in the future, Dan.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it'll be good for the future. There's lots of good things in the future for you. For example, we are the official partner series to the BSB. We are on the road to MotoGP as well. We've got some great affiliations. Obviously, that's something you'll be looking at doing. Many of our riders have gone to race in British Talent Cup in the last few years. Many of the riders in the Mini GP70s in the last few years are already in British Talent Cup, enjoying some great success. Max Cook, you've raced alongside Max Cook for a few years in the various championships here at Cool Fab. He's gone to race in the CV this weekend. Many other riders all around the world. And we speak about Bradley. He's here this weekend racing in a couple of our classes. And many of the sort of alumni have gone on to fantastic international and national success. And I imagine that's something that's really attracts you to the Cool Fab paddocks and something you really want to emulate.
Yeah, most definitely, obviously, because this is, where the riders learn, really. And, it gives them such a good, different atmosphere than they would in any other place, really. The way it's run, the tracks they run, is just, a good atmosphere.
And I suppose you say it's a good atmosphere. Some championships obviously can be quite formal. Everyone might enjoy a drink after the race meeting and a bit of a chat, but here the camaraderie is just something different, isn't it?
Yeah, well, everyone's here is welcome. It's a nice place.
You say it's a nice place. other teams giving other people support. You don't get that too often, do you?
No, obviously, it's not all about winning. You need to have some sort of fun, otherwise you get put off, the sport. It's the same as anything, like football. If you push yourself too hard or pushed your son or daughter too hard, then they're going to get fed up quicker.
Well, we hope you're not fed up at this point, even if it is going to be tricky for you to go racing out there.
No, I do enjoy it a lot, really. It is quite... You wouldn't expect it, but it's not very stressful when you come to clubs and stuff like this.
Now, you're not just racing at the moment, you're also setting your GCSEs. Now, we spoke about this a little bit yesterday. What is more stressful for someone who's not listened to today? Is it bike racing, or is it setting your GCSEs at the moment?
Definitely setting my GCSEs.
And why is that?
By far, well, obviously you've got to revise as well, and you're under a lot of pressure. Whereas you come here, you can be yourself, you ride, you get all the stress off your back.
I can't imagine these conditions will be too not de-stressful at the moment. It's going to be very stressful for all the riders, for everyone that's working in the paddock at the moment. So maybe the GCSEs at the moment will be a little bit more relaxing.
At least they'll be inside and dry.
Yeah, that is a win. But no, I think I definitely would rather race.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to having you racing out there at the moment. We've got a few more comments coming in. And good luck, Alfie Davidson from JJ Cunningham. So good luck to you, Alfie. Thank you for getting in touch, JJ. Don't forget, if you do want to get in touch, join us at Cool Fab Racing, at M Sport Radio on Twitter. Look for Cool Fab Racing and Motorsport Radio on your preferred social media platforms. You can tune in, not just tune in to what's going on at the moment, but also leave your comments of support, such as one saying, good luck, Sparky 80-62 from Auntie Glenn and Uncle Stu here in Wales. Well, great to see the support that all the families are giving the young riders out there, and even some of the older riders as well. Please keep commenting, liking, sharing all of our content from this weekend. It'd be great to show the whole world how much you love Cool Fab Racing, how much you're enjoying our coverage of the 2019 season so far. Weather update once again. It's a little bit sunnier, but now, apart from it's alleviated some of the worst bits of the rain and it's blown away, there's a sort of shine on the top layer of the circuit. It's also going to be a tricky one because the tyre barriers are so close here, especially on the apex of turn number 5. If you just miss that and you clout it, that's going to hurt.
Well, obviously it's quite a tight track as well, so you don't really have much runoff, so you need to be smart with the moves. It is really difficult to overtake going through the inside section and stuff, which is a big part of the track. And obviously back markers, because it's quite a small track compared to some of the others, back markers can be a massive play in the race.
And just getting off the line is going to be a challenge for some of the riders, especially in these GP70s, which are quite powerful machines. It's going to be difficult to get a balance, I'd say, right between getting a good start and getting bogged down and into the midfield.
Yeah, well, obviously they're two-strokes, so they're really easy to store as well. But when they get going on a start, if you get a good start, it gives yourself a massive advantage throughout the race.
What is the trickiest place on the circuit when the conditions are as wet as they are at the moment?
Well, the corners going onto the back straight and the start and finish straight have caught a lot of the riders out today, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple more ahead.
Yeah, fingers crossed that even with the weather conditions the way they are, it won't be too treacherous for the riders out there. Now, as we're looking at our window, as we said earlier on, the sun is starting to peek through, or trying to. It looks quite cold out there at the moment, as we can see the marshals on the starting grid, hotting themselves up with a nice warm cup of coffee or cup of tea. So, is it quite cold out there, Blake, at the moment?
Well, it's a lot warmer than yesterday, which is really weird, but I think it's because the breeze is gone. The breeze is the one what caught a lot of riders out yesterday as well, because it does make it a lot harder to race with the wind pushing against you, which can lead to little mistakes, but obviously little mistakes can lead up to big ones.
Now, you're saying there was a good bit of wind yesterday. Was it a tailwind down the back straight and a headwind on the home straight, or was it the other way around? And how much does that affect, or can it help you throughout the races?
Oh, it definitely affects you. It pushes against you or to the side of you. But the problem was yesterday, you couldn't really get used to it because it was doing it all directions.
Yeah, well, as for anyone that's ever ridden a motorbike or raced a motorbike, and you know how horrible that can be, especially if you've ridden up at the likes of Knockhill or something like that up in Scotland, then you know what that can be like, especially up in hills there. So as we're waiting the restart of the Mini GP 70s, hopefully we should be getting that underway in the next few moments. The marshals, I believe, will be starting to head back over to the posts very shortly. So once they do that, we'll start getting the action underway, and we'll give you an update of how the grid will be looking for the restart, and hopefully we'll get some racing action. And for I think it's going to be part number 3 of the Mini GP 70 race.
Well, Marshall's just enjoying a bit of a cup of coffee at the moment, trying to warm up, and as always, a big thank you to all of the Marshals and the medics and everyone else, Race Control, who organises all of our racing. We simply couldn't go motor racing without you guys and girls down there, so thank you very much as ever for all your efforts, even in these very tricky, wet and cold conditions. Mark is going in touch today. Good luck to all riders, and good luck Ollie Walker and Mason Johnson. So a good bit of support there from Mark. Thank you for getting in touch. As we keep mentioning, at Cool Fab Racing on Twitter, at Sport Radio on Twitter as well, or look for Motorsport Radio and Cool Fab Racing on your preferred social media platforms. Now, question saying from Robert Butler saying, when's AC40? Well, it will be after this race. Let's just quickly go through the order of the weekend so far. We first had the AC40 rookies not too long ago. We're still in the Mini GP 70s. The part 3 will get underway in just a few moments time. The AC40 Pros will be followed out at the end of this race with the Pit Bike 140 and Moto teams, in which Blake will be racing, so he will disappear from us, and as they go out onto the circuit, we'll be going from talking to him, talking about him. Hope you don't mind that too much. Junior LC40 Elites will follow them, then Senior Mini Motos, Mini GP 50s, Extreme 200s, and then the Mini F1 sidecars. That will bring you up to the end of the morning's action, and then we do it all again one last time this afternoon, starting from around 2 p.m. Now, plenty still to come here, round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. A few paddock announcements going out at the moment, getting ready to understand what will be happening with the riders. It's going to be a tricky one out there. I believe they're going to be having 2 laps. We did think they may get 2 laps with the wet conditions the first time around. Now, though, Blake, they are going to need those extra 2 laps.
Oh, yeah, they have to get used to the conditions now. Obviously, it's going to be totally different to the last race. It's gone from greasy to grippy, so they just need to build up their confidence again.
Yeah, as we're getting confirmation, there will be 2 laps on the way to the grid, so 1 warm-up lap after that, and it will be an 8-lap race, so it's going to be good. We'll still have lots of racing action to come from the Mini GP 70 class, so always stick by on Cool Fab Racing, and of course Motorsport Radio on Facebook, and of course at Cool Fab Racing on Twitter, and at M Sport Radio. You can also catch us on Twitch for all you gamers and such like out there, and of course YouTube, we will be on that, so lots of places to try and catch the action for today's racing, Dan.
Plenty of ways to get in touch, plenty of ways to keep tabs of this afternoon's and this morning's racing. We'll be giving you an updated schedule as soon as we get one, but that is the running order as it will stay. Thank you for sticking with us through the delays. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's great to have all of you with us here at the moment. Round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We are the official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. We are on the road to MotoGP. Plenty of fantastic affiliations for many of our young riders here in the paddock. Great racing, great camaraderie, great family atmosphere. It's brilliant here at Cool Fab Racing. We hope to have you here very soon. In fact, if you're wondering, sitting at home wondering how you can get involved in Cool Fab Racing, maybe you want to come down as a marshal, maybe you even want to race in one of our categories, head over to the Cool Fab Racing website for loads of information on our different categories, and of course how you can get involved, looking at maybe renting a bike or actually getting involved and helping teams run a bike. It would be great to have you here trackside, even just listening to our commentary. It's great to have you with us. Joined here, round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships.
There's loads of ways to follow the racing this season. Tune in live on the Cool Fab Racing Facebook page, on Twitter and on YouTube. Listen on motorsport.radio and on coolfabracing.com. This is Cool Fab Racing.
Hey guys, it's Philip Backlund speaking. You are listening to Motorsport Radio.
Welcome back to round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing from Red Lodge, and we have the Mini GP70s making their way round on their lap at the moment on the way to the grid. So they've got 2 laps at the moment. This is going to be a restart of the race that happened a few moments ago. So if you're just joining us, the rain did come down in absolute bucketfuls and it soaked the track, so the riders were out there on the slicks. We had to stop the race. We had a 15-minute delay as all the riders managed to get their bikes changed to a wet weather setup. So for the start of the restart of the Mini GP70s, this is how the grid is looking. So in pole position and leading them away will be Evan Belford on bike 52. James Cook falls up in second position. Eddie O'Shea in third spot. Ryan Hitchcock will be in fourth position. Ollie Walker in fifth. Dylan Mellor will be starting from 6th position, followed by Bailey Stewart Campbell in 7th spot, Emmanuel Brinton in 8th position on bike number 93, Owen Mellor in 9th spot on bike 130. In 10th position we have Kyle Payne, Alfie Davidson in 11th spot on bike 808. It will be Mason Johnson going off 12th position on the grid. Harrison Crosby in 13th spot. We have Johnny Garness on bike number 57 in 14th position there. In 15th place we have Sullivan Moundy on bike 144. Thomas Gomez on bike number 98 will be starting from 16th position on the grid, followed by Saffron Watley on bike number 178 starting from 17th. In 18th position we have bike number 37 of Carter Brown, followed by Joe Farragher on bike number 47, and rounding at the top 20 we have Jack Kirsch on bike number 96. The last 2 riders on the grid is Rossi Brown on bike number 81 and 21st, and rounding out the running in riders for the start of this Mini GP70 race number 2 restart is Jamie Woodcock on bike number 42.
Well, there was some drama heading up to the grid where there was a rider who was struggling to get the bike round. It stopped on circuit. They are back underway, but this may cause a bit of a problem if the bike conks out again. But for the third time of asking, we are about to get underway with the Mini GP70s race 2 of the weekend, 8-lap race in Prospect. Many of the riders wearing protective ponchos at the moment. The race officials and marshals making sure everyone's revved up, ready for a start. There's 1 or 2 gaps on the grid. We'll give you full update as to who is racing in this session so far, but the front row is complete at the moment. It's going to be Dylan Mellor perhaps not starting this race, but they look towards the red lights now. The revs are up, it's tricky. There's a bit of a jump start from Ryan Hitchcock, but a great start from Evan Belford. Bolts off into the race lead, heading towards turns 2 and 3 for the first time. Be careful over the painted curbing, very slippery for this first real racing lap. Evan Belford leads ahead of James Cook. Third place is Eddie O'Shea, just being nipped at by Ryan Hitchcock. They tiptoe around turn number 5. There's a big pool of water they've got to navigate, so tricky, and a few riders fell at turn number 6 on the warm-up laps. Touch wood, we don't get a repeat of that in the next few races. It's very tricky indeed, but 6 and 7 through turn 6 and 7 for the first time. Evan Belford is just ahead. James Cook a couple of bike lengths back already. Eddie O'Shea trying to keep up. It's a battle really. 3 bikes for the race lead so far through the final corner, and it is Evan Belford ahead of James Cook and Eddie O'Shea. 4th is Emmanuel Brinton ahead of Ryan Hitchcock, and we've had 3 riders go down at the final corner, just slipped on the exit. They're all trying to get back onto the bikes. 2 of them restart into the session. They are all back on the bikes though, so they look fine. They're just trying to restart the bikes. But race leaders so far, Evan Belford, sun's out. That's going to add an even bigger level of difficulty, as the sheen from the water on the surface of the road is going to be tricky indeed.
Yeah, we've just had a position swap for 6th place. We've had Harrison Crosby nip up the inside on the infield section of the track into turn number 5 ahead of Ollie Walker. But looking towards the battle for first position at the moment, Evan Belford looks like he's opening up a slight gap at the moment ahead of James Cook, but Eddie O'Shea, the man has been struggling so far this weekend in dry conditions, is looking like a new rider at the moment, all over the back of James Cook, as we have another rider down over at turn number 6 as they head on towards the back straight. But the rider is standing up. It looks like they're having a check of the bike, maybe to see if they could get it started. We've got another rider down at turn number 1 there. That was a fast crash. We're not too sure who it is, but the rider is up and seemingly okay, so we'll keep an eye on who that could have been. But the battle for first is still Evan Belford ahead of James Cook and Eddie O'Shea, who have both closed the gap on Evan Belford at the moment.
There's no longer a gap. They're nose to tail. Yellow flag, static yellow flag at the final corner, so that will prevent a good overtaking opportunity. But Evan Belford trying to turn through onto turn number 6, foot well hung off the bike, trying to use every part of his mass to flick the bike over. Grip is very much at a premium currently. Going to navigate the waters very safely though. 52 ahead of 44 and 114.
Oh,
down goes
Eddie O'Shea.
Eddie O'Shea from 3rd place goes down at the final corner. That takes him out of 3rd place. Is back onto the bike. So will look to continue this race. It now becomes a 2-way battle for the race lead so far. Belford and Cook is 1 and 2 so far. They are nose to tail coming into turn number 5.
Yeah, I believe that the previous lap we had Emmanuel Brinton go down from 4th spot at the first corner, but Emmanuel Brinton is seemingly okay. Eddie O'Shea, that's unfortunate for Eddie because he was looking absolutely brilliant at the start of this race. The most comfortable he has looked all weekend so far, so it's just left a battle for 1st and 2nd at the front of the pack. Evan Belford still leads by 0.4 of a second ahead of James Cook. Ryan Hitchcock, who's been steady at the moment, has moved up to 3rd position ahead of Harrison Crosby, starting from 13th on the grid, is up to 4th position. Bailey Stewart Campbell ahead of Ollie Walker. Eddie O'Shea has possibly remounted, but we'll keep an eye on that. Sylvan Moundy in 8th position there. Joe Farragher in 9th spot, Jack Kirsch in 10th position ahead of Thomas Gomez, Alfie Davidson in 12th spot, Carter Brown in 13th, Owen Mellor 14th, and Jamie Woodcock rounding out the top 15 at the moment.
Oh, it's very tricky for our race leaders trying to get through a couple of other riders in this race. Through turns 2 and 3 they had to really tiptoe around them, but Evan Belford has managed to get a rider between himself and James Cook, just opening the gap slightly, but it's marginal gains you need at this stage, the halfway stage in this race, and the gap has extended to at least half a second at least. Ryan Hitchcock third, Harrison Crosby in fourth place. So in all of this strife, it's been good for Harrison Crosby up to fourth place despite having a wheel problem at the first start of this race. There was a slow rider coming out of turn number 7. They're heading back into the paddock, and it looks like rider number 8, so that would be Alfie Davidson. Didn't look like they fell, just a technical issue perhaps for the time being. Over the line again, completing lap 5, 3 laps to go. Evan Belford and James Cook, 1.2 seconds in fact is the gap between that pair, so the race leaders not really able to scrap at the moment, the conditions perhaps not being amicable to that battle. Hitchcock still third, 7 seconds behind the race leader. Crosby in fourth, Bailey Stewart Campbell just crosses the line in fifth. Sixth at the moment is Ollie Walker with Eddie O'Shea, who did continue 1.7 seconds behind Ollie Walker. That's the 7th place at the moment. Riders gone down at turn number 5. Yellow flags are out.
Riders seemingly okay, standing on their feet, hoping to try and get themselves back into the race. Not quite sure who that is at the moment, but the riders do tend to be tiptoeing across the track at the moment. I'm not too sure if it's raining. I don't think it is. It is actually raining. Yeah, the rain is lashing down once again, so hopefully no one will be caught out of this at the moment. So as we check towards the leaders again, we have James Cook right on the back of Evan Belford, seemingly coming to grips with these treacherous conditions out on the circuit, as we have Evan Belford just becoming the first rider to the moment, coming into the corner at the moment, testing how it is.
Well, perhaps Evan Belford liked the greasier conditions a little more, could really get the tyres to work where the full wet conditions are suiting James Cook. Yellow flag at turn number 6, a bike's gone down. Currently Marshall's just standing over. Rider seems to be back on the bike and trying to get it restarted. The race leaders approach that point, no overtaking with the yellow flags out. Most of the circuit at this point covered with yellow flags, so not much overtaking to be done. A lap and a half to go. Evan Belford has, touch wood, got the measure of James Cook, but James Cook can really put the power down, heading towards the final 2 corners. Could make a challenge, but it's going to make for one hell of a last lap. James Cook has gone down. Just as I say that, he loses the front end, and he's gone down, so out of second place. Evan Belford all on his own now for the race lead with a lap to go. The rain though is getting heavier, more and more tricky. He's still got to fight the conditions in order to see the top step of the podium.
Yeah, James Cook did remount his bike and still in second position. That was the gap that Evan Belford and James Cook did have over the rest of the field. So fantastic, they're still in the race and can still salvage good points.
Well, you say he gets through. He was in second place, but only by 0.60 ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. Ryan Hitchcock has gone through, so Hitchcock now into second place. But it is really the man of the hour, the number 52 of Evan Belford, who is about to take the victory in this race.
Yes, as we are waiting Evan Belford to come through the final couple of corners before the end of the race. He's coming down into the final turn at the moment. If he stays on the bike, this will be a brilliant win for Evan Belford, looking over his shoulder to see where everyone else is. Evan Belford across the line, taking the win ahead of possibly James Cook or Ryan Hitchcock. But fantastic riding, steady from Evan Belford as we look towards the final couple of corners.
He's through the final corner. He's gone through the final corner, it looked like.
We have Ryan Hitchcock coming across the line in second spot, and James Cook looks like he's got third, so it's Ryan Hitchcock ahead of James Cook, who rounds out the podium position. Harrison Crosby from 13th on the grid just misses out on the podium, but once again still a brilliant ride from Harrison Crosby. Bailey Stewart Campbell comes across the line in 5th position. Eddie O'Shea, who also went down at the final turn at 4 laps from the end, managed to salvage a 6th position from all of that craziness in that race. Ollie Walker in 7th position. Joe Farragher gets an 8th spot. Fantastic ride from Joe. And we have Jack Kirsch in 9th position. Thomas Gomez, who started further down the order in 16th position, managed to get himself inside the top 10. I say that, they've just been put down to 11th position there, ahead of Carter Brown. Carter Brown 11th, Thomas Gomez in 11th, Sullivan Mounsey 12th spot, ahead of Owen Mellor in 13th position, Jamie Woodcock in 14th, Mason Johnson just missing out on a top 10 position and managed to get 15th. Rossi Brown just missed out in the points position there, ahead of Saffron Watley in 17th, Alfie Davidson in 18th, Emmanuel Brinton 19th position there, ahead of Johnny Garness in 20th, Dylan Miller in 21st, and Kyle Payne rounding out the runners and riders for the Mini GP 70 race, the second race of the day. It was Kyle Payne in 22nd. So a fantastic ride from all the riders there as the rain once again comes lashing down as puddles are mounting on the circuit. We've got some broomsticks out there as the marshals tend to clear up some of the mess. They're putting down some cement dust once again, but Dan, we've got to look back at the last couple of laps here. It was very, very tricky conditions as the rain came down, action-packed, but once again Evan Belford came under a lot of pressure, but managed to soak up that pressure and managed to hold on for the lead of the race.
Never mind the pressure, he managed to soak up the water and stay on the island. That was the biggest challenge in that one.
It was a bit like duck to water, wasn't he?
Just a bit, yes. It was very tricky. We had Laura get in touch saying, we heard this, thank you, out after this GP70 race. So we will look forward to the next race after that, which will be the AC40 Pros, are due to come out in just a few moments' time. We are running a little bit further behind as we expected at the moment. We'll give you a full confirmation of the timetable in a few moments' time. But the marshals just putting down, as you mentioned, in some cement dust. I think a bit more oil managed to make its way onto the circuit, and it is a bit tricky out there with the wet conditions and the other fluids being mixed into the circuit. Bit slippery really at the moment. Very challenging race. The riders in the Mini GP70s did do very well to cope with the conditions. I know a few had a few tumbles, but they all seem to be alright, which is what we like to hear, and we will look forward to having them out for one final time later this afternoon. We can't guarantee what that time will be as of yet. However, we will look forward to the time, whatever happens. But up next, it will be the second race of the weekend for the AC40 Pros. Joe Kirsch getting in touch saying, well done all. And I think that pretty much sums up the action in that race there.
Absolutely. It was horrible conditions for all the riders. I'm glad I'm standing up here in this commentary box with you, Dan, as you're like my mum trying to fix my microphone. Thank you very much. So we can hear you. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to hear me, but at the same time, the riders done very well out there. As we can see, the rain is coming down leaps and bounds like cats and dogs. So the riders are doing an amazing job staying on the bikes, and if they do crash out, thankfully it's been slow crashes at the moment, so they have been able to remount and get back into the race. So fingers crossed that throughout the rest of the day, if it stays wet, that we can keep all the riders running and racing, and of course we hope that everyone has a lot of good luck out there and for no injuries. So just remember, you can like and share on Facebook and on Twitter. Get in touch. We'd love to read out all of your comments as well across all of the social medias. On Facebook you can find us at FAB-Racing, and of course Motorsport Radio. On Twitter you can find us at FAB-Racing, and of course M Sport Radio. We read out all of your comments and keep in touch with what you're doing. Also you can find us live streaming on Twitch as well, so we're all over on Twitch, which is one of our favourite channels to broadcast on. We absolutely love it. So for all you gamers out there, you know exactly what that is. And of course we're on YouTube as well, so keep up to date with the live radio coverage of FAB-Racing, and you can get in touch with what we are doing, and of course keep an eye on what's happening out there on the track at the moment.
Using a hashtag CoolFab, we will keep you up to date with everything that's going on over the course of this morning's and this afternoon's races. The AC40 Pros head out onto circuit, and they are just going to take a couple of laps to really understand where the conditions, where a lot of the tricky patches are in the conditions. The mini motos sort of a bit lighter, so they may be a little bit less susceptible to the wet weather. They can sort of maybe glide over the puddles more than anything else rather than sort of go through them, but it's going to be tricky nonetheless. They head out on circuit, and you're listening to live coverage of round 2 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We are the official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. We're also part of the official road to MotoGP, and there's plenty of action still to come here. Round 2 from Red Lodge.
Yeah, so as we see, the AC40 Pros are making their way around the circuit at the moment, and we've got lots of young kids out there, so we never know what can actually happen out there in the circuit, but we hope for a close, clean racing from all of the racers out there on circuit. So they'll get a couple of wee laps in as we await for them to come round to the grid for the first time before the start of their warm-up lap. So we've got, of course, Mason Foster, our early championship leader, and reigning champion, of course, in this series here, starting from pole position on the grid on bike number 88. So Mason Foster starting from, once again, another pole position, but he's won all of his races so far in the dry conditions. Will it be a little bit different in the wet here at Red Lodge? Round number 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing. In second position is Samuel Munson on bike number 72. In third spot, we have bike number 62. The rider is Ethan Sparks, heading off of row number 2. Clayton Edmonds on bike number 146 is starting from 4th position on the grid. In 11th and 5th position, and on bike number 11, we have Finnan Werity heading off at row number 3. Henry McCartney on bike number 31 is starting from 6th position on the grid, ahead of Charlie Huntingford on bike number 76. In 8th position is Cameron Sewell on bike 100, starting from 8th spot, ahead of bike number 99, that is Warwick Brady, starting from 9th position, ahead of Greg Marshall, rounds out the top 10 at the moment on bike number 19, ahead of Holly Harris on bike 15, and Ashton Dean rounds out the runners and riders on bike 137 as the riders head around their warm-up lap back towards the starting grid. So we've got another couple of comments coming in. Good luck to Ethan Sparky 62, that is from Laura Sparks. So we'll keep an eye out on all of the riders. Keep your comments coming in. Louise Clark gets in touch saying good luck Aston. Thank you very much, Louise, getting in touch and giving your rider all of the support and comments that's just helped them get through today's cold and wet weather action. So as the riders make their way back to the grid, it is your championship leader Mason Foster heading the riders round and lining up first in the grid. So he's ready to get started at the moment. So it's going to be a quick stop for the riders on the grid as some of the marshals, the parents, wipe down the visors as we don't want them having the visors steaming up too much as they won't be able to see where they're going. So as the final riders line up on the grid, we've got all riders at the back. We seem to be missing possibly someone from the back of the grid, which could be Aston Dean on bike 137, but we'll keep an eye on that at the moment. So we might have all the riders there, but as we've got some of the parents checking out, doing the final inspections of the grid, as we've got one of the riders pulling off onto the side, that is rider 112, so we're not too sure who that could be at the moment, but as the race starts, away they go. It's Mason Foster getting a fantastic start and heading into turn number 1 in the lead of the race, tiptoeing around turn number 2. Keep it easy at the moment, we don't want any incidents as the riders head through the slippery part of the circuit, through the tight turns and splashing through the puddles as they come around turn number 5. It's still Mason Foster leading the pack, but he's not having it all his own way at the moment. We have lots of other riders, including the likes of Samuel Munson and Ethan Sparks, hot over the tails, as we have Mason Foster getting overtaken for the lead of the race down the back straight, and late on the brakes, Mason Foster around the outside still holds the first position as they head towards the bottom end of the circuit. The fast left-hander tightening up into the slow right as they head down the straight in towards the final couple of turns. Once again, Mason Foster is looking like he's still got the lead of the race. It's a three-way battle at the front. This is heating up to be a fantastic race already. Come through the final turn. And it's a great traction for... Oh, there's been a rider down at turn number 1. That is going to be one of the top riders, clipping with Mason Foster. But we have the rider up and okay, which is good for the all involved there. But that was an unfortunate incident for that rider at the moment. So one of the top 3 has gone down. Mason Foster still in the lead of the race. So we will keep an eye to see who that could have been. But once again, we have Mason Foster ahead of Ethan Sparks as they head into the final hairpin before the back straight. Ethan Sparks gets a fantastic run ahead of Mason Foster, but Mason Foster still holding the lead of the race as the rest of the riders running down the order. Samuel Munson, Clayton Edmonds, Charlie Huntingford in a battle for 4th place there. Greg Marshall, Warwick Brady, Cameron Sewell, Holly Harris has made a great start and made her way into the top 10 at the moment. There seems to be a bit of a gap opening up at the lead of the field. Mason Foster is opening that gap ahead of 2nd position at the moment as they come across the line to start lap number 3 of the race. It is Mason Foster ahead of Ethan Sparks. So unfortunately it was Henry McCartney that went down after he got a fantastic traction off of the final corner along the home straight, but unfortunately touch Mason Foster went down just before the first corner, but he is up and okay So we've got him heading back towards the paddock at the moment. So as we look towards the head of the field once again, it is Mason Foster ahead of Ethan Sparks, Clayton Edmonds all over the back of Samuel Munson for third position on the grid. Charlie Huntingford still holding fifth place at the moment. Greg Marshall in sixth place. Warwick Brady in seventh. On bike number 99, Cameron Sewell on bike 100 is in eighth spot. Holly Harris has made another position. She's moved up from 10th to 9th position, well inside the top 10 at the moment, ahead of Aston Dean, Henry McCartney and Finnan Werity, who I believe was one of the riders. Finnan was a lap down as he was taken off the track before the start of the race, so let's see if Finnan can make up some positions as the race goes on. So starting lap number 4 at the moment is going to be Mason Foster ahead of Ethan Sparks. Mason Foster puts in the fastest lap of the race last time round with a 58.080. Samuel Munson still... we've got Mason Foster pulling off the edge of the circuit. Don't know what's happened to Mason Foster. It looks like he could be in big trouble. It's definitely Mason Foster at the moment. So Mason Foster's dropped down to fourth spot there, but he's back up. I don't think he actually went down, but he's back on the bike and just in fourth spot there. So Ethan Sparks has a gargantuan lead of the race by about 5 seconds ahead of Samuel Munson and Clayton Edmonds. Charlie Huntingford in fifth position, still got a bit of a gap over Greg Marshall. Cameron Sewell in a great battle with Holly Harris, who Holly Harris is catching ever so slightly as the race goes on. So a nice easy moment at the head of the field for Ethan Sparks as he comes across the line. He will be starting the next lap in first position ahead of Samuel Munson and Clayton Edmonds.
Wow, all mixed up. You do one thing on one lap and all of a sudden it completely changes again. Ethan Sparks leads 5.9 seconds at the moment ahead of Samuel Munson, fighting away with Clayton Edmonds nose to tail as they make their way through the infield. Bit of a weather update for you. It's not raining anymore, it's slightly spitting, but it's the residue on the circuit, and the fact it is sort of puddled up at this point means that it is so tricky. They're almost side by side through turn number 6 and onto the back straight. It would be a brave old move to make it through there, but Ethan Sparks really managing very well. Mason Foster, as you mentioned, Liam, down to fourth place, has got time to make positions up though, 1.8 seconds behind Clayton Edmonds, with Charlie Huntingford in fifth ahead of Greg Marshall and Warwick Brady.
Yeah, as we're looking further down the field, Holly Harris is climbing all over the back of Cameron Sewell at the moment through the infield section of the circuit. You were just talking about Mason Foster having a chance to catch the battle for second. Well, he's already done that. He's now right on the back of the battle for second as they come across the line. It's still Samuel Munson ahead of Clayton Edmonds. Mason Foster, unfortunately, that looks like the race leader. It's Ethan Sparks down at turn number 3, back on the bike and still in the lead of the race, but just in front of the battle for second. So we've also believe we've got someone down at the last corner. We do, but the rider is up and storming away from the bike at the moment, so unfortunately can't get the bike started. So we'll see if they can get back into the race. But once again, Ethan Sparks leads the way. Unfortunate moment for Ethan there.
Well, very unfortunate, but that means Mason Foster, who set the fastest lap on that last lap, has really meant that he's going to be catching up. It's a four-way fight for this race battle at the moment. It's going to be a challenge and a half trying to make it through the last lap without causing much more mither, but there's every opportunity for all of the riders out there so far. Heading towards the final lap, and it's at the far end of the circuit. Is it Mason Foster who's pulled off at the far end of the circuit with a bike issue?
It looks like we've got another rider down at the turn on towards the back straight. Not sure who that could have been. It looks like it was a battle with Aston Dean and Holly Harris. But the rider is up and okay. Back in the race and obviously back on circuit at the moment, so chasing down. So I don't think they lost too many positions at that part of the field.
But I believe it is Mason Foster has retired from this race with a lap to go. Is out, so going to score not very much in the way of points for this one. Ethan Sparks though is well on course to score some great points with a victory for the number 62 rider. A third of a lap to go, but Samuel Munson and Clayton Edmonds, they're not too close but they're not too far either. One more slip up and it could cost a race victory, but heading towards the line for the final time. Ethan Sparks has performed oh so well and is going to take the checkered flag in race 2 of the AC40 Pros. So Ethan Sparks wins by just 0.2 of a second from Samuel Munson, who just got the fastest lap on that last lap, 55.405, which is over a second quicker than Ethan Sparks. Clayton Edmonds takes the third step on the podium. A bit further back though, it's all still to contest. White Brady, it was 4th on the last lap as they make their way over the line now. Who will take 4th place? It is White Brady in 4th ahead of Cameron Sewell. Greg Marshall due to come home in 6th place. Holly Harris up to 7th, but we're waiting for that to be confirmed. But Ethan Sparks just held out Samuel Munson. It's the classic tale of if it was one more lap, Samuel Munson could well have taken that victory.
Yes, absolutely. Could have taken the victory as we see the last couple of races coming across the line. Holly Harris does take 7th spot, so great ride by Holly from 11th on the grid up to 7th spot, really taking to these wet conditions. Charlie Huntingford in 8th position, Aston Dean at 9th, and Finnan Wedity, who was unfortunately taken off the grid at the start of the race, manages to get a top 10 ahead of Mason Foster, who unfortunately missed out in the last couple of laps, and Henry McCartney as well. But it was a tricky race out there for the riders in the AC40 Pros, and they done very well to make it to the end of the race. But unfortunate for Mason Foster and Ethan Sparks, even though he did go down, he managed to still take the race win, only 0.2 of a second ahead of Samuel Munson. So a very good ride there from all riders. And as you said earlier on, as you're coming back up to the commentary box, there's a lot of puddles out there. The rain has stopped, so it's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
It just can't quite decide what it's going to do, and that's going to make the racing ever dramatic here at Cool Fab. Round 2 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We're live from the Red Lodge circuit, and we are on Motorsport Radio, motorsport.radio, on the Cool Fab Racing website, on social media at Cool Fab Racing, at M Sport Radio, both on Twitter. Use the hashtag CoolFab to let us know what you're up to. Please keep sending in your comments, please keep sharing all of our content out. It's great to see the support you've all got for our young and not so young riders out there at the moment in very tricky conditions. We've got a few comments still to read. We've got said, where can I catch the recap of the Moto Team round? I literally just made breakfast and missed a race. Well, Lucky, it's just about to happen. Race 2 is about to get underway, but if you do want to catch up on any of the previous action from the last few rounds, all the way back, I believe, to 2017, all of the archive is on motorsport.radio. Look for the Cool Fab archives. You'll hear some of the great commentators we've had over the years, the likes of Alex Raby, Kiko Giles, both of which, of course, have gone off, and Tom Brooks, of course, have gone off to MotoGP, work for Dorna, and have gone to bigger and better things. Liam Hodgins and Dan Marr here in the commentary box. Better things still to come out on circuit though, Liam, I suppose, because we have got the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team riders just heading out onto circuit. An update as to the times. This session was due to start at 11:20 a.m, so we are running about 45 minutes late at the moment. Some stellar work from the race officials, from the marshals and the medics. A big thank you to all of you who've been working in tricky conditions so far this morning, and as ever, greatly supported. We simply couldn't go motor racing without you guys and girls out there, so a big thank you to all of you. Henceforth, the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team Race 2 is out there so far. They're just making their way around the first of the sighting laps. Got another comment here to read. Amy saying, good luck Tractor Boy. And yes, Richard Holmes Williams, referred to as Tractor Boy by a few people. There's two stories as to why this is. I believe the first one is because he's an Ipswich Town fan, which, yeah, we won't mention that, what happened yesterday. But what also happened is also apparently he was referred to as Tractor Boy because he spent so much time ploughing the grass when he runs wide.
I like you referred to ploughing the grass. Yeah, allegedly. His mum came up to the commentary box yesterday and told us this story, and that was his nickname. So thank you to Julie for doing that for us. So yeah, Richard Holmes Williams will be known as Tractor Boy through the commentary box and the commentary.
Well, they get some interesting nicknames. I believe Charlie Nesbitt for some reason is called Spud Nesbitt. Good luck to Blake Ansell from Gloucester Bike Specialist. Thank you for your comment. And well, Blake Ansell will be doing well. Blake Ansell has been joining us in the commentary box over the course of the weekend, and we'll look forward to having Blake back up here to give his valuable insights in the next few hours. But race 2 for the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team. The riders do get ready and prepared, and the grid will form up a little something like this in a few moments. Riders though looking ready to start their first sighting lap.
Yeah, so in pole position we do have Tractor Boy. It's Richard Holmes Williams on bike 126, followed by Ben Bailey on bike 128 in second spot as the riders make their way around the warm-up lap, as you can hear the thunderous roar of the PB140 and Moto Team bikes. In third spot is Brad Ray on bike number 28. In second spot, fourth spot is Blake Ansell on bike number 20, followed by Jamie King in 5th place on bike 76. Harvey Claridge in 6th spot ahead of Spud. Charlie Nesbitt 8th and 7th position. And there on bike number 96 is Will Howarth on bike number 96 in 8th spot. And 9th spot we do have one of the other riders that is ahead of Henry Meduse on bike number 55. Bernie Hook in his 11th spot on bike 0 ahead of Ian Jackson in 12th place. Rob Petit on bike number 8 is in 13th place ahead of John Petit. Not sure if they're related, but we think they might be. So that is bike 100 ahead of Alex Corridon Brown on bike 556 ahead of Simon Clowes on bike number 133 in 16th position. Darren Anderson follows up in 17th spot on bike 56 ahead of Fraser Kinnaird on bike 3 in 18th. Callum Wybrow in 19th position ahead of Alistair Kinnaird on bike number 5. Daniel Gilbert in 21st position ahead of Keith Bolton on bike number 8 on position number 22. Vince Bailey on bike 369 is 23. Roger Monks on 24th spot and 111, and Trevor Jones rounds out the grid of 25 riders. That's 25 full riders on bike number 27 on the 13th row of the grid. So as the riders are ready and ready to go, the lights are out and away they go for a fantastic start from our pole position rider. That looks like it will be Bren Bailey into the lead of the race ahead of one of the riders. That could be Harvey Clyde into second spot there as the riders head towards the middle part of the track, and Brad Ray is in third spot there. So as the riders drop down into the midfield section of the track and onto the back straight, Dan.
I'm not actually sure if Brad Ray's in this race so far. Ben Bailey's in third place, second place for Harvey Claridge, but Richard Holmes-Williams once again leads the field heading into turns 6 and 7 for the first time. Scheduled to be a 12-lap race, could well change. A couple of riders going wide at turn number 6. Not somewhere you want to be is on the grass at the moment, saturated with water, so if you get stuck that could be a big problem indeed. However, into the final 2 turns for the first time out of 12, Richard Holmes-Williams is leading this race ahead of the number 16 of Harvey Claridge. Ben Bailey in third place. Jamie King made a great start. He's up to, I believe, 5th or 6th place. Yeah, so it is Richard Holmes-Williams ahead of Harvey Claridge, Ben Bailey and Blake Ansell, your top 4. Jamie King in 5th ahead of Henry Meduse. Will Howarth, your leading Moto Team rider, in 7th place ahead of John Buckle. Ian Jackson and Alex Corridon Brown, the top 10. So we have got the Motorsport Awards nominated rider Brandon Powell. He joins us in the commentary box. I thought you were meant to be out there, Brandon.
I was supposed to be, but...
Yeah, so we will be speaking to Brandon Powell in now second. Brandon, I thought you were supposed to be out there, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to go out there, but I woke up this morning.
Microphone doesn't seem to be working. We'll see what's happening on track at the moment. We've got Richard Holmes-Williams still in the lead of the race, pulling out a bit of a gap at the front ahead of Harvey Clyde. Ben Bailey and Dan, I believe you've seen something on the track there.
Yeah, there was a rider who's gone off at the exit of the final corner. They're up and back on the bike. They're trying to get it restarted. Not so much success at the moment, it must be said, but yellow flags are out. But Richard Holmes-Williams leads Harvey Claridge by 1.2 seconds. Ben Bailey in third, still ahead of Blake Ansell. Jamie King is in 5th. Will Howarth, though, progressing ahead of John Buckle. Alex Corridon Brown also moving up a position. It looks like... Can't see the number on that at the moment. As soon as they get back out and ready, I will let you know. In fact, they're about to head over the line now. Number 55 is the rider that stops, so it could be... Well, can't quite see on my time screens at the moment, but lead us through to the final corner again.
Yes, we look towards second position now. It looks like we have Ben Bailey up towards second position, just behind Richard Holmes-Williams, is setting the fastest lap of the race at 53.0. That's 0.6 of a second faster than our race leader, Richard Holmes-Williams. So he made a fantastic pass on Harvey Clyde at the start of the previous lap, now up to second position and chasing down our race leader. But hopefully we'll try and get him in now. So we've got Brandon Pearl, the yellow Pearl. Brandon, why not out there, buddy?
I woke up this morning, I just saw the sky and I knew it was going to be raining, so I didn't want to risk the 140. I'm focusing a lot on the CRF at the moment, so I just decided today I'll sit back, have a watch of what everyone else is doing, and just enjoy the 150 race.
Oh, that's a shame. We would love to have you out there and mixing it up with the riders. So can't believe you're not out there at the moment.
Yeah, I would have, but I would have gone off the back of the grid. So I reckon I would have just collided with someone. I would have tried pushing too hard and just gone into the back of someone.
As you come flying through the grid. So how are you finding this race so far?
I was struggling in the morning warm-up, but
sorry to cut you off there, Brandon. We've got a change for the lead. We've got Ben Bailey ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams, who once again has closed down the leader, and we've got Richard Holmes-Williams all over the back of our new race leader Ben Bailey, as we've got Harvey Claridge and Blake Ansell in third and fourth, trying to close the gap on the race leaders. Usually, Brandon, who is the best rider to look out for in these conditions, apart from yourself, obviously?
Oh, just quickly, Blake Ansell's gone down from 4th place.
Oh dear, Blake Ansell's dropped it on the exit of turn number 6. Must have caught the painted curb. The back wheel goes out, and he's been having issues with the bike all weekend. I fear this may have resulted in bringing out another one of these problems, struggling to get the bike restarted. Not having those trouble those. Ben Bailey in the lead, got a good couple of bike lengths ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams. Harvey Claridge now can see the potential for the attack. The top 3 fighting tooth and nail. Another rider's gone down, the number 9 on the back of the levers. That's a turn number 5. The back onto the bike and underway again, so only a small trip and no further problem caused. Ben Bailey though focusing on the race lead. 1:28 leads by nearly 9/10 of a second. 52.8 was the fastest lap on the last lap, commanding so far, but making their way through the traffic. But Brandon, this is tricky conditions. How difficult is it to get through so many other riders in this category when you're trying to fight for a position yourself?
It's really hard because you're focusing on who's in front, you want to push forward, but you also and you're also focused on who's behind. Like, you don't want anyone coming past, but at the same time, this track's really, really slippy in the wet, so you're focusing on not dropping it. So it's like there's a lot going on in like one sense. And like the riders to look out for is definitely Richard Holmes-Williams. He's just phenomenal. He goes out there with intermediate tyres in pouring rain, and he'll do phenomenal lap times. As we've just seen, he's just set the fastest lap.
Yeah, so he might be out there on the intermediate tyres, as you say, and as we can see, the track is dry now, but it looks like we've got another follow down at turn number 1. We're not quite sure who that could be. It could have been one of the top riders, but we'll keep an eye on that at the moment. But as you were saying, Brandon, Richard Holmes-Williams set the fastest lap of the race, could be out in those intermediate tyres as the track is starting to dry, as we can see a blue sky above us. So that's going to make the conditions very tricky indeed, because some riders might be out there on wet tyres, some might be out on intermediates, so the intermediates could be coming into their own now.
The intermediates will come into play towards the end of the race, as we saw in the Metch Kit race. Some of them went out on slicks and it just didn't work, and some of them went out on wets.
Yeah, as the leaders carve their way through the traffic at the moment, it's still Ben Bailey in the lead, but the gap in the front is closed down. Richard Holmes-Williams and Harvey Claridge is now into third spot and right on the back of the leaders at the moment. As the timings update, we've got Jamie King closing on the gap of the leaders, as well as continue to carve the way through the back markers at the moment.
And it's not this simple. It's actually, this race has been shortened, 10 lap race in total. They're on lap 8 at the moment, 3 laps to go. They're catching up with a couple of the Moto Team riders. An update from Moto Team, in fact, Will Howarth in 5th at the moment. A great result, really showing how they can mix it up. Darren Anderson and Simon Clowes, the other 2 on the Moto Team podium so far. But Ben Bailey resisting so much pressure. Richard Holmes-Williams with the fastest lap, 52.7. Trying to make their way through, but they're tiptoeing. He's side by side, in fact, with Harvey Claridge. An opportunistic move makes it through.
On the back of Harvey Claridge now.
And Jamie King making great progress. He spoke to us last couple of days ago, in fact. He was saying how greasy the track can be in the wet. He's going to try and pull side by side. Can't make it through. As they make it through the final corner, not a cheeky move into turn 1 either. So Ben Bailey, Richard Holmes-Williams, your top 2. Harvey Claridge and Jamie King fighting it out for the final stop on the rostrum, but with 2 laps to go, it really is not going to be easy.
Yeah, Jamie King is looking for some heroics at his home round this weekend. But looking at the Moto Team battle, we have Simon Clowes all over the back of Darren Anderson for 8th spot, so 2nd spot in that category at the moment. Will Howarth in 5th position at the moment is doing a fantastic job keeping up with most of the PB 140 team bikes, as the leaders make their way through the bottom end of the circuit, still catching up with some back markers. But it looks like Ben Bailey has opened up a bit of an advantage over Richard Holmes-Williams.
That's what's useful when you're sidling through the traffic. A rider's just fallen at turn number 5 at the back onto the bike, trying to get it restarted underway. No problems there for them. But again, Harvey Claridge now trying to make the way through the traffic. This is the final lap, the final time for Ben Bailey to settle this race lead once and for all. Richard Holmes-Williams is so strong through the infield. Great brakes, great just throwing the bike around. Yellow flags at turn 5, a bit wide for Ben Bailey as he was looking over his right shoulder, trying to find where the 126 is. Onto the back straight for the final time. Ben Bailey not comfortable placing the bike around, it's sliding and squirming, and Richard Holmes-Williams, he's trying to make the move through. Can he make a late move into turn 7? Not quite. A third of a lap left to go. Ben Bailey twisted, turns it. He's going to almost use the lead. They're almost side by side. They've touched. Heading into the final corner for the final time. Puts his leg out. Can he make the move up the inside? No. Ben Bailey takes the lead. It's going to be a run to the line. He's on the inside line. It's Richard Holmes-Williams. He can't take it though. Ben Bailey just takes a race win. 92 hundredths of a second was all the gap was as Ben Bailey takes the victory from Richard Holmes-Williams. My goodness me, what a close race. They point towards each other, they're cheering at each other. What a great race those two have had. Harvey Claridge does take third place, the final step on the podium ahead of Jamie King. We're waiting now.
That's a great comeback from Blake Ansell.
Blake Ansell just set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap, so it's a shame that he wasn't in the mix after an incident at the hairpin just before the back straight. So fastest lap of the race by Blake Ansell.
Blake Ansell, brilliant final lap there, but Ben Bailey won this race very well. 92 hundredths of a second was the gap between himself and Richard Holmes-Williams in second place. A run to the line, couldn't quite make it work, but they'll have another opportunity to do it all again later this afternoon. Harvey Claridge third overall, with Jamie King and Blake Ansell rounding out the top 5. Sixth place, a brilliant sixth place for Will Howarth, our winning Moto Team rider. John Buckle and Ian Jackson are the next riders out on the circuit, with Darren Anderson and Simon Clowes very close over those next few rounds. John Petit is in 11th ahead of Tom White, Alistair Kinnaird, Daniel Gilbert, Keith Bolton and Fraser Kinnaird. That's your top 16, with Roger Monks, Alex Corendon-Brown being a few laps behind on the pace. And that was your provisional results for the second race of the weekend for the Pit Bike 140 Moto teams. Well, that was pretty exciting right at the end there.
Yeah.
Just sort of talk us through a rider's mindset when they're having to chase a rider down and you're belting it through to the final corner.
Well, on that last few corners, you're thinking, what is the best move to pull? And, well, as we saw, Richard thought he could go up the inside, and you can be cheeky because on the final